They told me to stop biking when I turned 70. My knees weren't what they used to be. My back had started to complain. It's time to take it easy, they said. But here I am at 88, riding my old Schwinn 5 miles every Sunday. No pain, no pills, and I haven't taken a single round of antibiotics in over 25 years. Not even for a cold. It's not because I have some miracle DNA. In fact, my father died young. My mother battled arthritis for most of her life. I'm not lucky, I'm consistent. And no, I don't spend hours in the gym or follow some exotic diet from the internet. The truth is, I do 5 small things every single day. That's it. 5 habits that most people would laugh at. Too simple, too slow, too strange. But those tiny actions, they built a wall between me and illness, 1 brick at a time. I didn't discover them overnight. I didn't invent them either. They came from years of paying attention. First to my body, then to the research, and finally to what actually worked. Some of these habits take less than 3 minutes. Some don't even require me to leave my bed. And yet they've given me more than any supplement ever did. So before you assume your best health is behind you, I want to show you what worked for me. You might not do everything I do, but if just one of these habits becomes part of your life, you'll feel the shift. You'll feel stronger, lighter, sharper. Let's start with the first thing I do every morning before I even open my eyes fully. My name is Walter Green. I live just outside Eugene, Oregon, in a little white house with green shutters and a porch full of potted herbs. I built most of this place myself after I retired. These days it's just me, the birds, and my bike. But it wasn't always like this. I spent 40 years as a mechanic. Long days, grease-stained hands, knees on concrete, shoulders bent under hoods of engines. I loved the work, but I didn't exactly treat my body kindly. I smoked through my 30s, drank more coffee than water, and most meals came out of a vending machine or a drive-through bag. By the time I hit 60, things were catching up to me. My joints ached, my energy dipped before noon. I had heartburn so often that I kept antacids in every drawer. And sleep? Let's just say I could fall asleep fine, but I'd wake up at 3 a.m. every night with my mind spinning. Then came the moment that changed it all. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 63. One early morning I slipped in the bathroom. It wasn't dramatic, just a minor fall. I landed hard on my side and bruised my hip. Nothing broke, thank God. But lying there on the cold tile, something snapped inside me. Not a bone, but a realization. This was how it starts, I thought, not with a diagnosis or a warning, but with small things, a stumble, a slow fade, a body that stops bouncing back. That same week my doctor warned me I was pre-everything. Pre-diabetic, pre-hypertensive, pre-arthritic. He handed me a stack of brochures and said, "You're entering the zone where things start slipping fast. You need to take this seriously." But here's the thing, I didn't want to take pills. I didn't want to become one of those seniors with a plastic box labelled Monday to Sunday, filled with medications I couldn't pronounce. So I asked him, "Is there anything I can do before I need the pills?" He looked at me and said, "Well, it wouldn't hurt to move more. Eat better. Cut back on sugar, drink more water, maybe get some sunshine in the mornings." That was it. No real plan, no guidance, just vague suggestions. But I left that office with a mission. If I could just make one small decision every day to help my body, not fix it overnight, but support it gently, maybe I could stay ahead of the pills. I started with one thing, breathing. Every morning, before I got out of bed, I began focusing on my breath. Just 3 minutes. Slow inhale, slower exhale. No apps, no music, just me and my lungs. Something shifted. That simple act calmed my heart, settled my nerves, and gave me just enough clarity to make a better breakfast choice. And then I added another habit, then another. Not all at once. One at a time, each one small. Each one simple enough to do even on the worst day. Before I knew it, I had built a rhythm, a structure, 5 habits that now form the bones of every day. They don't take hours, they don't cost a dime. And most importantly, they work. I haven't had a sinus infection in 25 years. I haven't taken antibiotics since Clinton was president. I sleep through the night. I ride my bike. I shovel snow. I do my own grocery shopping. And I feel better at 88 than I did at 60. People ask me all the time, "What's your secret?" And I tell them it's not a secret, it's a practice. Now, I'm going to share those 5 habits with you, not as rules, not as prescriptions, but as invitations. Try them, modify them, ignore some. But if even one of them sticks, you might find yourself stronger, steadier, and maybe even smiling more by the end of next week. Let's begin with the first habit, the one that starts before I even open my eyes fully, a ritual so small it takes less than 5 minutes, but it has rewired the way my body greets the day. The first thing I do every morning isn't open my eyes, it's breathe. Intentionally, quietly, slowly. Lying there in bed, before the world asks anything of me, I give myself 3 minutes. Just 3. It's not meditation. It's not prayer. I call it my quiet breathing reset. I start by placing one hand on my chest, one on my belly. Then I take a breath in through my nose for 4 seconds. I pause for a heartbeat. Then I exhale through my mouth for 6 seconds, like I'm slowly letting air out of a balloon. I do this 10 times. That's it. No phone, no thoughts about breakfast, no worrying about emails, just breath. Now, if you had told me 25 years ago that breathing like this would change my mornings, I would have laughed. Breathing is something we do without thinking. It happens automatically, right? But that's the problem. Automatic breathing reflects automatic living. And as I aged, I realized the way I start my day sets the tone for everything else. You see, as we get older, our nervous system becomes more sensitive to stress. That feeling of being on edge, that quick temper, racing thoughts, trouble sleeping, that's often not age. It's your fight or flight system running too loud for too long. But there's a reset button, and it's built into your breath. When you slow your exhale, you activate something called the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the part of your body that says, you're safe, you can relax, you can digest, you can heal. There's real science behind this. A study from the Journal of Aging and Health found that older adults who practiced slow breathing in the morning had lower cortisol levels, better heart rate variability, and improved mental clarity, even if they didn't change anything else in their routines. Another study from Harvard found that just 5 minutes of paced breathing daily improved sleep quality in seniors within 2 weeks. I didn't read these studies first. I lived them. When I started this habit, I didn't expect much. But within days, my mornings felt different. I wasn't rushing to the bathroom. I didn't feel groggy or heavy. I had a sense of ease, like my body was saying, "Okay, let's go." The best part? It gave me space. Space between waking and reacting. Space to decide what kind of morning I wanted to have, not what kind of morning my anxiety wanted to give me. People always talk about high blood pressure, bad cholesterol, joint pain, but they rarely talk about what fuels it, chronic stress. And for older folks like me, stress isn't just a feeling, it's physical. It lives in our shoulders, in our gut, in our immune system. This breathing reset helps flush it out before it settles in. And no, it doesn't require a yoga mat or special posture. I do it lying down, eyes half shut, sometimes with a blanket still pulled up to my chin. If I'm travelling or staying with my daughter, I'll do it sitting on the edge of the bed. Doesn't matter. The point is presence. I've taught this to my neighbour Joe, who's 76, and used to start every morning with a cup of coffee and the news, both of which raised his blood pressure. Now he breathes first, and he says it's changed the way he reacts to the world. Because breathing is more than survival, it's leadership. You teach your body how to respond, you guide your mood, you prepare your mind. If you're wondering where to start, start here. Not with a workout, not with a diet, with breath. It costs nothing, it requires no strength, no skill, no training, just you and 3 minutes of intention. I still do this habit every single morning, rain or shine, healthy or tired. It's my way of saying to my body, we're still in this together. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your slippers, before you turn on the TV, place a hand on your chest, close your eyes, and just breathe. Not to survive, but to lead. Because aging doesn't begin in the body, it begins in the breath. And when you master your breath, you reclaim your strength, one morning at a time. After my breathing reset, I head to the kitchen, before coffee, before the radio, before anything else touches my stomach. I drink something most folks would call strange. Even my daughter wrinkled her nose the first time she saw it. Warm milk, sliced onion, steeped together. Yeah, I know, sounds awful. I thought so too at first. But give me a minute, and I'll tell you why it's the best thing I've done for my immune system in 25 years. They call it onion milk. And it comes from an old remedy passed down in my family, originally used for colds and flu. I started drinking it regularly after that fall in the bathroom, when I decided to take my health into my own hands. I heat up a small saucepan of unsweetened almond milk, or oat milk, depending on what I have, not boiling, just warm. Then I add 3 thin slices of raw red onion. I let it steep for about 5 minutes. No sugar, no honey, just milk and onion. Then I strain it and sip. It's not spicy, it's not exactly sweet, but it has a softness to it, a kind of earthy richness. And what it does inside my body? That's the magic. Onions, especially raw red or yellow ones, are packed with a compound called quercetin. Quercetin is one of nature's most powerful natural antihistamines and anti-inflammatories. According to a 2020 review in the journal Nutrients, quercetin helps modulate the immune system, reduce inflammation in the airways, and even block viral replication in some cases. For someone like me, who used to get 2 or 3 sinus infections a year, this changed everything. Within weeks of starting this habit, I noticed I was waking up clearer. No more morning congestion, no tightness behind the eyes. My chest felt lighter. I hadn't realized how chronically inflamed I had been until the inflammation started to disappear. And then something even more surprising happened. I didn't get sick that winter, not even once. It wasn't just luck. I'd always been the guy who caught every bug going around. One cough in the grocery store and I'd be in bed for a week, but that year, nothing. I kept drinking it every morning, and I haven't looked back. There's more going on here than just quercetin. Onions are also full of sulfur compounds. Yes, the same stuff that makes you cry when you cut them. These compounds support liver detoxification and help your body process waste more efficiently. That means less toxic buildup, better digestion, and more energy. Combine that with warm milk, which soothes the gut lining and helps nutrients absorb more smoothly, and you've got a simple but potent elixir for your immune system. Now, you don't have to use almond or oat milk. I switched because dairy started bothering me around age 65. But if cow's milk works for you, that's fine too. Just make sure it's warm and not boiling. I've shared this habit with over a dozen friends and neighbours. Some add a bit of turmeric or garlic. Some blend it all up and sip it through a straw. But all of them report the same thing: fewer colds, less congestion, better digestion. One woman from my church, Nancy, told me she hadn't gone an entire season without a sinus infection in years until she started the onion milk. Now she keeps sliced onions in a jar in her fridge just for this. I'm not saying it's a miracle, but I am saying this: our bodies are asking for support, not struggle. We don't need to flood them with fancy pills or exotic powders. Sometimes the simplest food, prepared with care, taken with intention, can become the strongest shield. You might not love the taste at first, that's okay. I didn't either, but after a few days, my body started craving it. Not the flavour, but the feeling that came afterward: clear head, open chest, steady energy. And that's what matters most. Not whether it's trendy, not whether it's marketable, but whether it makes you feel like you've got your strength back. So tomorrow morning, after you breathe, try this. Warm up a little milk, slice an onion, steep, sip slowly, and as the warmth spreads through your body, remind yourself this is you taking care of you, 1 cup at a time. After my morning tonic, I step outside, just for a few minutes, 7 to be exact. I don't go far. Just out onto my porch, where I keep a small collection of planters: basil, thyme, cherry tomatoes in the summer, a few flowers for colour. It's not a farm, it's not even a garden by most people's standards, but to me, it's my daily tune-up. I call it my porch tending, and it's one of the best things I've ever done for my mobility, my balance, and surprisingly, my sleep. Here's what I do. I walk barefoot if the weather allows. I water the herbs, pluck dead leaves, adjust a pot that's leaning too far to one side. I bend, I reach, I twist gently. Sometimes I just stand there with the morning sun on my face, smelling the rosemary. That's it. 7 minutes, sometimes less, but I never skip it. You might think this is just a nice ritual, something to pass the time in retirement, but there's a lot going on beneath the surface. First, movement, but not forced movement. Functional movement, the kind of reaching, squatting, turning that your body was made to do, not in reps or sets, but in flow. This kind of natural motion is deeply healing, especially as we age. Studies from the Journal of Gerontology show that older adults who engage in light, purposeful movement early in the day have better joint flexibility, improved gait, and reduced fall risk over time. 7 minutes of slow gardening, it turns out, can do more for your knees than an hour in a chair with a resistance band. Second, light. Morning light exposure helps regulate your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that governs everything from hormone production to digestion. When you get sunlight on your face within an hour of waking, your brain starts producing serotonin, which boosts mood and later converts to melatonin, which helps you sleep at night. That means the better your morning light, the deeper your night's rest. But there's another reason I keep this habit, one that surprised me. Gardening, even in this small way, gives me a sense of usefulness, of tending to something beyond myself. When I care for the plants, I am reminded that I'm still needed, still part of the cycle, still creating beauty, even in quiet ways. For a while after I retired, I struggled with that, feeling like I had no job, no real purpose. But these planters, they brought it back. And that sense of purpose is powerful medicine. A 2018 study from the University of Michigan found that seniors who engaged in gardening, even in small containers, reported higher levels of life satisfaction and lower levels of depression than those who did not. The tactile experience of touching soil, observing growth, and simply being around plants had measurable effects on stress hormones. You don't need a big yard. You don't even need a green thumb. You need a pot, some soil, a seed or two, and a few quiet minutes to reconnect with life. If you live in an apartment, a windowsill works fine. If you can't bend easily, use raised beds or hanging pots. What matters isn't what you grow, it's that you're participating in growth. I remember one winter the snow was thick and the wind sharp, but I still stepped outside just for 2 minutes. I checked on the evergreens. I ran my hand over the frozen railing. That small act made me feel human again, like I was still part of the world, not locked away from it. These 7 minutes do more than stretch my body. They open my mind. They give me space to breathe, to notice, to slow down in a world that's always speeding up. I've come to believe that the porch is sacred. It's where I meet the morning, not as a taskmaster or a patient, but as a person, a man still capable of joy, care and strength. So tomorrow, after your breath and your tonic, step outside. It doesn't matter if you have a yard or just a stoop. Touch something real. Tend to something alive. Let the sunlight kiss your skin and let your body bend the way it was designed to. You don't have to run laps or do jumping jacks. Just move with meaning, move with care, move like someone who still belongs to this earth, because you do. They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But for me, what I don't eat after 7 p.m. has made just as big a difference as what I do eat in the morning. I call it my whiteout rule. No white foods after dinner. That means no bread, no pasta, no white rice, no sugar, no milk. Nothing that spikes blood sugar or clogs digestion while I sleep. At first, I didn't think it mattered. I figured dinner was dinner. Who cares what colour the food is? But over time I started to notice something. The nights I had a slice of white bread with butter, I'd toss and turn for hours. The evenings I gave in to ice cream or crackers, I'd wake up groggy, achy and bloated. My hands would feel stiff, my mind foggy. I chalked it up to just aging, until I ran a little experiment. For 1 week I cut out all white foods after 7 p.m. I still ate a full dinner, just different things. Broiled salmon, roasted Brussels sprouts, lentils with olive oil, avocado with a sprinkle of salt. Nothing heavy, nothing processed, nothing white. And I slept like a stone. More importantly, I woke up clear. No fog, no gas, no sour taste in my mouth. My blood pressure was steadier. My heartburn disappeared. My joints felt looser. It was like I'd aged backward 5 years. In 7 days, so I kept going, and I haven't stopped. Here's why it works. As we get older, our metabolism slows down, especially at night. That means food stays in the stomach longer. If what you eat is hard to digest, like white carbs or dairy, it ferments, causing bloating, inflammation and poor sleep. Worse, those blood sugar spikes late at night can trigger cortisol release, the stress hormone that wakes you up at 2 a.m. and makes you feel wired and tired at the same time. By cutting out white foods at night, I gave my body a break, a chance to reset, a chance to focus on healing instead of digesting. There's research to support this. A 2019 study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who consumed refined carbohydrates within 3 hours of bedtime had significantly more sleep disturbances than those who did not. Another study from the Mayo Clinic showed that limiting evening starch intake can improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation overnight. Now, I'm not perfect. I've had a slice of birthday cake now and then, a few cookies on Christmas, but 95% of the time, I keep my evenings clean. And it's not about restriction, it's about replacement. Instead of white rice, I eat cauliflower rice or quinoa. Instead of milk, I drink warm chamomile tea with a splash of oat milk. Instead of cookies, I might have a handful of almonds or a piece of dark chocolate, small, simple, satisfying. One of my favourite evening meals is roasted root vegetables, carrots, parsnips, beets, with a drizzle of olive oil and sea salt. It fills me without weighing me down. Another go-to is lentil soup with kale and a squeeze of lemon, light but full of nutrients, and my digestion thanks me in the morning. If you're not sure where to start, try this. For 3 nights, don't eat anything white after 7 p.m. Keep your dinner full of colour, greens, oranges, reds, browns. Pay attention to how you sleep, how you feel the next morning. Let your body give you the feedback. I promise you the difference is clearer than you think. And here's the truth. Aging isn't just about what you lose. It's about what you allow to stay stuck. Heavy foods, slow digestion, late-night sugar. They don't just affect your waistline, they affect your clarity, your movement, your peace of mind. This small rule, no white after 7, has given me lighter mornings, deeper rest and more energy to enjoy the day ahead. It's like removing static from a radio signal. Everything just comes in clearer. So tonight, look at your plate. Ask yourself, not just, does this taste good, but, will this help me rest? Will this help me repair? Because the healing your body does while you sleep depends on what you give it before you close your eyes. And if you give it the right things, or simply give it less to struggle with, it will thank you, every morning, in ways you can feel. Of all the habits I've developed over the years, this one is the quietest, the easiest to overlook, but it might just be the most powerful. Every night after I brush my teeth and pull the covers up to my chest, I do something I call nightly visualization. It takes less than 5 minutes, no candles, no chanting, no apps. I simply picture the version of myself I want to wake up as. It started the year I turned 70. I was having trouble staying asleep. I'd wake up at 2 a.m, mind racing, about bills, my health, the news. I tried teas, I tried sound machines, I even tried counting backward from 300, but none of it worked until one night I did something different. I imagined myself the next morning waking up with a strong back and steady legs. I saw myself walking down the driveway, waving at a neighbour. I pictured my shoulders relaxed, my breathing calm, my heart light. I played that image in my head like a little movie. And somehow I drifted off easier, slept deeper, woke up feeling closer to that version of myself, so I did it again and again. And now it's a habit. Here's why it matters. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagination and reality. In fact, when you vividly imagine doing something, whether it's walking, speaking, or simply standing tall, the same neural pathways fire as if you were actually doing it. That's not philosophy. That's neuroscience. Studies from Harvard and Stanford show that mental rehearsal can improve physical performance, increase coordination, and even accelerate healing. A 2016 study published in Psychology and Aging found that older adults who practiced guided visualization for just 5 minutes a night showed significant improvements in mobility and confidence within 3 weeks. But it's not just about the body, it's about calming the mind before sleep. Most of us carry the day's stress into the night. We fall asleep with worry on our chest. That sends our nervous system into a low-grade alarm even while we sleep. The result? Restless nights, shallow sleep, waking up exhausted. But when you visualize a state of calm, of strength, of confidence, you lower cortisol, raise melatonin, and signal to your body, you're safe now, you can restore. I don't visualize perfection. I don't see myself running marathons or climbing mountains. I see myself steady, upright, at peace, capable, needed. Sometimes I visualize moments from my past, a fishing trip with my brother, a dance with my wife, but most nights I picture the next morning unfolding smoothly. I see myself pouring tea, smiling at the sunlight, lacing up my walking shoes, breathing deeply. I don't rush through it. I let the image linger. That's the key. Let it feel real. Let it feel like a memory that hasn't happened yet. And then I drift off. Over time, this practice rewired how I approach my days. I don't wake up wondering how I'll feel. I wake up already connected to how I chose to feel. And that changes everything. You don't need a script. You don't need a coach. You just need quiet and a little imagination. Lie back, close your eyes, and ask, what kind of tomorrow do I want to wake into? Then build that image, brick by brick, breath by breath. This habit doesn't cost a cent. It doesn't need mobility, strength, or even energy, just intention. And yet it has given me more peace, more consistency, more resilience than any pill or protocol ever could. And when the day gets tough, as days sometimes do, I have that image in my pocket. I carry it with me like a compass, a reminder that I'm still in charge of how I show up. So tonight, before you drift off, don't count sheep. Picture strength. Picture calm. Picture your best self waking up with purpose, because the way you end the day shapes the way you begin the next. And your next chapter deserves to begin with clarity, not chaos. You've now heard all 5 of my daily habits. None of them are flashy. None of them are complicated. You won't find them on a trending list or in a celebrity health routine. But each one of them has helped me build a life where I'm not just surviving, I'm still living. Still moving, still clear-minded, still independent. Some days I'm tired, some days I ache, but I don't fear illness the way I used to, because I trust the rhythm I've built. These 5 habits, breathing, onion milk, porch gardening, clean evenings, nightly visualization, they've become my foundation. And the best part? I didn't start them all at once. I began with a breath. That one breath led to better mornings led to better choices, and those better choices began to carry me, day by day, into a version of myself that felt stronger than the one before. That's the real secret. It's not about finding the perfect health protocol. It's about choosing to show up for your body, in small, consistent ways, every day. No matter what happened yesterday, people say, you're lucky you found what works for you. But I don't believe it was luck. I believe it was listening to what my body needed, what it responded to, what helped it feel safe, strong and supported. You don't need to adopt all 5 habits. Maybe you just start with one. A 3-minute breath, a single cup of warm tonic, a quiet moment with your plants, a dinner that doesn't drag you down, or a vision of tomorrow that gives you peace tonight. Start wherever you are, with whatever you can, because the moment you begin, you're no longer waiting on luck. You're building something, and no, it's not too late. I started at 63 after a fall on the bathroom floor. You might be 67 or 74 or 81. You might have more aches, more fear, more doubt. But you also have more strength than you realize, more wisdom than you've ever had before. And most importantly, you're still here, still breathing, still capable, still able to choose something new. That's not nothing, that's everything. So tomorrow, when the sun rises, don't ask, is it too late for me? Say instead, this is my beginning. And let every breath, every sip, every step after that be a quiet celebration of what your body still can do. Because health doesn't return in a single leap, it returns in steps, small, steady, thoughtful steps. And if you take just one today, you're already on your way.